Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Yoruus speaking and welcome to the summary video for multiplayer game number 106. As usual, spoiler alert, if you do not want to know how the game went, stop watching right now and go to the first position of the playlist. The link should be around in here somewhere where the actual game starts. But if you want to know how the game went, or you have watched the game already and want to hear me out with theory crafting after the game, I invite you to watch this video. Okay, you've got 5 seconds to leave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it was not 5 seconds, but still. So let's get in here. So this is an 8-player free-for-all game played on 19th October. Of course on Twitch, so TeamSpeak is on, stream chat is on, and I'm playing against players like Filthy Robot, Tank, Argus, I'm Not Bob, Cleftorachi, and Hagai666. Now the civs are in here. Well, this was kind of sort of a random draft, but still a little bit of randomness. I had 3 civs to pick off. I don't remember exactly what civs they were, but I picked Siam because I've haven't played Siam for ages, and it was like I still want to experiment a little bit. I have this feeling basically where the metagame, let's call it the metagame, civ game, is so strict that any tries to go out of those boundaries of like tradition, forcity, into rationalities, and then ideology, like they do not work, and I still want to try them anyways in a real free-for-all, especially in an 8-player game, which is absolutely different kind of game. So I picked Siam to experiment a little bit, but let's focus first on the civs that player got. So Hagai666 got Songhai, if I remember correctly. Achu was playing Maya, so very strong civ. Cleftor luckily picked, had a choice, and he picked Babylon. It's a very strong civ, but it's also a civ that puts basically a target on your forehead, and everybody will try to slow you down, especially a player of Cleftor caliber who can constantly get a win in around turn 170 till 190. Like in every single game, so everybody knows you gotta slow down Cleftor. Now Filthy Robot picked Brazil for some unknown reason, because if I remember correctly, he had quite a nice picks, except Brazil, but he picked Brazil. Tank rolled Russia, Argus picked Rome, and I'm Not Bob picked USA. So also it's kind of cool because Tank and Bob were neighbors, so it's like a Russia-America rivalry, but we'll get there in a second. So I like my capital quite a lot. I like this capital quite a lot. A lot of river, 3 wheat, gems, gold, even 1 gold in a 4th ring. If I actually moved in here, I would have extra horse around here somewhere, but I decided to stay in place, so I did not step on the horse that I actually did not see, and I actually like this capital quite a lot. Now let's get back to the experimentation part. Why did I pick Siam? Well, Siam is first of all, it's a very strong culture, city-state oriented civ. Then again, we've got those elephants. Elephants rock crazy hard in the medieval era because they're so strong. They don't need strategic resources, and they have a bonus against other mountain units. So they're like, wow, crossbows, boom, eaten by elephants. Knights, boom, eaten by elephants. Basically, elephants can stand up until like artillery and cavalry. You can defend against cavalry and artillery with elephants, which is bloody awesome. And the other part is, of course, Watts with extra culture on top of normal university traits. Now, this is the one thing that calls for some experimentation. Well, there is a strategy. Well, it is a strategy basically, because Watts have a culture on them. You can use legalism to actually line up your empire, so as soon as you hit university tech, you get free universities right away. free from maintenance, free for any hammer investment. They just pop out in your cities like that. And this is something that I wanted to try to do in this game. Now, okay, let's go further into what actually map gave me, and I will talk a little bit more about this idea, about this strategy. So as usual, I present you a screenshot of my empire around turn 100. Now you can notice that my science output for turn 100 is not like super crazy amazing, but there are a couple of things that are actually quite nice, and I want to point you out to the culture per turn. I believe this is without city-state or with like one friendly city-state. So generally, what's the plan? Well, basically, in this particular game, my hammers, food count, and science was basically far from the leaders of the game. Actually, Filthy Robot, Cleftor, even Tank and a Chew had much nicer demographics, but we'll get to that in a second. Now I want to show you first how the map looks like. Of course I can do it only in this minimap, but Haggai spawn in the far west corner of the map on the coast, and was like theoretically there was like a mountain range between him and Achu. Achu is around here somewhere. He decided not to go on the coast, so his cities are inland except this fort sitting around in here. But he's like in between Haggai and the rest of the land. Like there's like 2 tile passages around here, 1 tile passage in here, 2 tile passage in here, and something in the north. Cleftor spawned unluckily in the middle of the map, of course rocking demographics at the start quite nicely. Then we've got a couple of city-states. Now this is fun factor. I'm like, Cleftor is so much surrounded by city-states, and he's got me on the south as a south neighbor, and I'm a very peaceful player, as you probably know. But his capital is on coast. It's an awesome capital though. It's on the coast, it has a mountain in it, and it's Babylon, it's on the river as well. So a dream capital basically with marble, may I mention. Then we've got Argus in here, landlocked by basically city-states in here, and a mountain range between him and Filthy Robot. Bob spawned around in here somewhere, but he was killed quite quickly by Tank, and people were actually making fun of him because he was like killed by, I don't know, 4 chariots, a couple of melee units. So he went down quite fast. So this is the thing about Russia-America rivalry in this game. Well, America lost this time. Tank playing as Russia just slaughtered Bob. So Tank was in here sitting on his 3 cities that he planted, with a very strong demographics, and then 2 added city from Bob, 1 on a mountain and 1 capital. So he was sitting on a very good demographics throughout the whole course of the game. Nice food, nice hammers, tremendously nice hammers. Now we have Filthy Robot in here, who like from some point of the game he just rocked food so bad. I think he's got like double my food or something like that even for a moment. So that was quite amazing. He was sitting on 5 very big, very good cities, and was amazingly strong in this game. Now getting back to my empire. So at this stage of the game, basically my idea worked. I basically went like free settler, 1 into patronage, and then legalism, and then finish off tradition. Now patronage was quite a useful thing. Well, the plan was quite useful, being a quite useful social policy that actually was worthless later on, because I missed Forbidden Palace, and I believe I missed it like the same turn because of basically the number of players that I was. Not only that, I think I missed one wonder also is quite important to me, so I missed 2 wonders, and I believe 1 was hard build, or maybe not even hard build, but I definitely lost at least 1 great energy on wonders in this game. So it's super sad that it didn't work out. I really needed that wonder, especially that I invested in 1 social policy into patronage, but it didn't work out. But getting back to my experiment, I went to free settler. I got some early wonders, like, well, some. I got terracotta army and got great wall. Just because I'm in the middle, I wanted to make people basically not think about attacking me. Now my land was not that bad. Well, this city in here is on a mountain, but it has almost no food. Now my capital is really sweet, though no mountain again. Lampang has access to also a lot of food, and Muang Salang is also have access to a lot of fresh water, and there's Old Faithful in here. Now I made one mistake. Achu was like, gave me crabs. I had crabs running here somewhere, and he was like, give me crabs. So I planted a city there, and I knew that was a bad mistake because my 4 cities were doing quite fine. I was keeping up with the national wonders, and the 5th city was just putting me down so much. I don't think that city even had a research labs at the end of the game, so I don't think that last 5th city was a benefit to my game plan. It was actually basically getting me much trouble, more trouble than was worth putting it in it. Now, I got those 3 universities, but this is another lesson learned, and compared to people who went all in tradition, were having so much more food and science actually than my 3 universities could have gotten me into. So delaying finishing tradition is like, at this stage of the game, this just is not working well in the metagame. Compared, if there are still players in the game that just go all out through tradition right away and focuses on science, that detoured liberty and delaying your tradition finisher puts you behind quite a lot. Even, well, I guess it could have worked out if you would have like tremendous amounts of culture from some source, but if you're not really that strong on culture, that definitely is not working out. You finish tradition just so late that food really matters, that food increase, and not mentioning it delays your rationals or the social policies, so you even fall far behind in science. So around this moment I know that this is definitely not working out, and I cannot really compete with every other player like for a science victory. So I was thinking like, okay, so this plan failed, though the experiment have been done, we have results. Now what do we do with that? Okay, so I figure out basically that I will sit back in here and be like the worst, like trying to look as a player that has the worst stats, the worst position in the game, that nobody would really care about. And then later on, suddenly, boom, be in a shape that I can actually make something happen. So, how could we possibly do that? Well, I will explain it. Okay, so I skipped a lot of turns to actually a moment where I'm AFK. This guy is not here. He's slacking. Anyways, I skipped a lot of turns, but there is not huge. Well, there's not much happening from my perspective. Because what I was trying to do, I knew that I cannot really compete in science with anybody else because my food is just too low. You can see my empire right now. I believe this empire, until I got the ideology, well, I actually did not pick too much happiness from ideology. I don't know from what my happiness now is so good. I think I finally got some mercantile city-states. Basically, for the whole duration of the game, my empire was running on around 20 happiness imported from other players. So it's like trading with everybody for everything just to keep my cities as large as possible. But this is basically the population that I could have gotten from even that plus 20 happiness. As you can notice, I did plant a lot of great sciences that I get, and now there is a purpose for this. Since I wanted to be, basically I knew that my only chance is like going autocracy and trying to spy steal. So I still wanted to like not wait for the bulbs because I never would have gotten a strong science output. So I prefer to just use them and be like a little bit faster to all the crucial text, but still look like I'm behind far away. It was like a sketchy plan a little bit that was dependent on a lot of factors to work out well. But I was trying to do it, and I was trying to work it as best as possible. Now, what happened on the map, basically? What happened is Tank attacked Filthy Robot. Now, I do not understand why, but Tank attacked with nuclear bombs. Well, actually, he went for bombers. He built like tons of bombers. It's such an amazing hammers. He built tons of bombers, but then he went for nuclear missiles, and he didn't get bomb shelters first. And I think that's a crucial mistake that people make. Think that the war basically ends up with bombs, nuclear bombs. It does not. If you're prepared for that, if you have stacks of bombers and your army is out of range, if you are prepared well, nuclear bombs do not finish wars. Yes, used correctly, they can allow you to do a lot of cool stuff that happen actually in this game. But overall, whoever gets to nukes first does not win. Unless the opponent do not have bomb shelters. If you have bomb shelters, you still have a chance. Now, Tank made a crucial mistake. He get tons of bombers. He almost had a nuclear missile ready up, but he didn't have bomb shelters. Now, Filthy Robot had bomb shelters and also had nukes at the same time because he had an advantage in tech. So what he did, he preemptively nuked Tank. So his capital went down like boom. But still, they fought, and they fought a lot. Now there's another part of this game that I absolutely not understand, because Filthy Robot said that Tank nuked him like at least a dozen of times. But still Tank lost his cities. I do not understand how is that possible. If you have nukes, your cities, unless you fail a last second move, are basically untakeable. So if he would put that dozen of nukes, at least half of them to defend, I don't think Filthy would be able to take his cities, because as soon as his land army would drop on Tank, he would just use a nuke and his cities are untakeable, which actually happened to me later on in the game, but I will tell you all about it in a second. Now, Arvius in Hill here was looking also not in a good shape, but he was making a lot of gold. He went autocracy, and his plan was to stop Cleftor. In the meantime, Achu slaughtered Haggai, though it was theoretically a defensive war. Haggai declared on Achu first, but Achu basically slaughtered him, and he was trying to convince me to go after Cleftor. Now, I went autocracy as well, but of course I didn't have the gold output to actually like build a buy of a huge army. But I was still there. I had the bomb shelters. I was stealing a lot of good tech, so though my tech rate is not that great, I steal all the crucial techs that I actually need. That was quite lucky of me, but that was basically planned. I went for police stations, national intelligence agency, so I got an extra spy. My spies are level 2 as soon as they die, and of course the stealing them from autocracy, so that part of the plan worked well. Now, but still, for me to win this game, I was like thinking, what could I possibly do from this situation to actually win the game? Now, there were several things that had to happen basically in this game for me to win the game. First of all, Achu was trying to force me, like he was trying to say that he's gonna stop Cleftor, because he like, at one point of the game, he was like, give me 500 G or I'm gonna declare war on you. And I said, go away, I'm not gonna give you 500 G, I need it for themselves. So, boom, he declares war on me. So, I had a choice, of course, try to fight him, but I was not ready at that point to fight a war. So I actually decided to give him 500 G, and he went along with his business, killing Haggai and theoretically preparing to attack Cleftor. Attack that never happened because Arvius successfully stopped Cleftor, and I helped a little bit. But Achi in the meantime really was not even, I don't think he even considered attacking Cleftor, because he was trying to go to space. When he was saying to me, go attack Cleftor, he was building like Apollo program and parts and stuff like that. So he never declared war on Cleftor. So this is a slight problem. Okay, Arvius stopped Cleftor. This part of the plan works well. The other part of the plan would be like Haggai fighting with Achu like forever. But they didn't. Haggai got slaughtered quite quickly. So, okay, Cleftor is done. But now, instead of two people fighting on the west side, I've got only one very strong player in there in a very, very good shape. So that's not favorable because he has no real opponent. Either he attacks me, which is not useful for him because to reach other players he would need to kill me and go fight with other players. So he goes to space right now. Okay, so on the west I've got a player who goes to space that actually is my responsibility right now to stop him. On the other side, again, the plan is not working correctly because Tank is losing from Filthy Robot, who is in amazingly good science shape. So Tank is losing to him. Arvius attacks Filthy Robot after killing Cleftor, but it also is not working out well. So Filthy is in a very good shape. Now I will show you next screenshot. So finally, after a long war, I managed to kill a Chew. Excuse me. So I finally killed a Chew. Now, this is the part why I'm talking that I cannot understand how Tank lost to Filthy Robot, because a Chew was defending like for a long time. Just because as soon I had stealth bombers, suddenly I was first attacked, I couldn't even steal from Filthy Robot. And he was first in tech like for a long time. So I finally caught up with tech. So I have the tech, I have the technologies, but now what do I do? As I said, I choose going to space. So by the time I could have worried, well, basically I had three options, right? Option 1, I try to kill a Chew. Option 2, I try to go to space. Option 3, I try to go and kill Filthy Robot, who defended successfully against Tank, and Arvius theoretically against two players who were in much better shape than I were. So, okay, but what happens? I go for a Chew. Filthy Robot wins space most probably, if I cannot kill him fast enough. I go for Filthy Robot. A Chew wins space much faster because he already had 3 parts. I try to go to space. No, I don't have chance to build up all the parts because I'm autocracy. I don't have money to buy any parts, not those social policies, and I actually do not have all the social policies needed. So before I build up parts, a Chew goes to space or Filthy Robot goes to space. So at this stage of the game, because as I said, my plan failed concerning all the other players, I didn't have too much options. So I decided to actually kill a Chew in a sort of a revenge for that being a douche throughout the whole course of the game. Like, give me this, give me that, plan a city, give me 500 G, do this, do that. He was like all the time in this game, he was like that. I didn't like that, so actually from those 3 options, I picked killing a Chew, stopping him from space, in hopes that I can do it fast enough to go and kill Filthy Robot. But a Chew defended very well, using basically a burned ground tactic. As soon as I got his cities to 0 and I dropped XCOM, he basically shot those XCOMs and then boom, nuked them to death. So it was like really a lot of turns before I was able to take his cities down, and a lot of hammer investment. In the meantime, because our Filthy Robot already defended against Tank and Arvius, he was slowly going to space. I mean slowly because he was not really planning to do it, so he theoretically had the tech and so on. He was very slowly doing that, but still fast enough for to win when I was trying to kill a Chew. Now a Chew only missed 3 parts, so if I didn't attack him, he would go to space, of course, but that actually did not help me, like, I don't know, win. Though after this game, I check out Filthy's stream, the recorded transmission, and I do believe that my judgment at this point of the game, when I said GG to him, because I thought I cannot get to him, that was actually a mistake. He was in much worse shape and had much less army than I initially thought that he has. But still, realistically, looking at this subject, I think I wouldn't make it in time before he would launch to space, because I had to go like through tons of cities just to reach his capital, and he still had like nukes was not banned, so he also could have used like a burn ground tactic and just burn all those paratroopers that was dropping, or even take the city because he already had stealth bombers as well, or just take the city that I would have to use to actually put my stealth bombers into to reach his capital. So probably in the fair judgment I wouldn't be able to stop him anyway, so like that GG is absolutely the best option that I could have taken. But still, I could have tried. But probably this game lasted for at least 10 hours. So we were all tired, and I don't want to excuse myself, but I was all tired, and we just wanted this game to be done. So I could have fought. But that's like knowing the situation after the game, basically, because in the game I was thinking like he had very strong demographics, he had the science, he already won 2 wars, so in my imagination he had like tons of units, he had like tons of nuclear bombs ready, so before I would get there I would like take enormous times, even if that was possible. He didn't have that, but still a fair win. I'm like, come on, he fought 2 wars, had an amazing good start and Civ, so definitely deserved win. So GG Filthy Robot. Now, getting back to my plans, I tried to explain at the end of the game. For me to get back into the game from that experimentation I took, there were several factors that needed to happen. Basically, Hagai and Achu had to fight for a long time. Cleftor had to be stopped by Arvius and theoretically Achu. Then Filthy Robot, Tank and Arvius would have... Basically, they needed to fight much longer than they did. So several things didn't work out well. First, Achu took Hagai and never tried to stop Cleftor. He was going to space himself, so he like put it himself into a top priority for me because he was the closest player to me, easiest to attack, and like the guy who can go to space first and win the game. So that plan was a huge failure on my assumption that what will happen in this game. Cleftor got stopped by Arvius as planned, and that was great. It was like the only thing that worked out basically well on that plan. Now Tank got killed for some unknown reason very fast by Filthy Robot, and Arvius also was killed quite fast by Filthy Robot. So those parts of the plan absolutely did not work out well. So I needed the time that those 3 people will fight, so I have the time to stop Achu before I turn my attention to the other side of the map. And this is basically the time I missed in my basically planning of this game, and that didn't work out. Nevertheless, it was a great game. I like this game quite a lot. Maybe not too much happening from my perspective, but overall on the map there was quite a lot of things happening. So we like got early war from Tank versus Bob. Then we've got stopping. Then we have war between Achu and Hagai. Then we have stopping Cleftor. War between Tank and Filthy Robot. War between Arvius and Filthy Robot. War from me against Achu. And then basically end by a concede from me to Filthy Robot. But still, it was an amazingly cool game. I like it very much. So GG everyone, thank you for the game. And one more thing, as I said, I like to experiment a lot in the games, trying to go out of the boundaries of tradition to rationalism right away. And this time I tried the Liberty Settler into tradition, basically, just because this is Siam, to get those free universities. Now, what's the basically outcome of the strategy? Well, basically comparable to other players in this game. The food is just too slow, does not compensate I don't know even if those universities are faster, but just doesn't compensate the instant universities in all of cities, because you even can't really work them without losing growth. So what's the pro of this situation? There's none. And the cons are huge because you delay the growth in all of your cities, you delay aqueducts, you delay rationalism tech. So basically the plan compared to all the other players who went straight out free tradition internationals. Just was I was like behind all the time, and I needed to autocross his stealing techs to actually compensate for my loss of tech. At the end, yes, I was the same tech as Filthy Robot, but it was like a turn 250. I'm like, come on, people like Kleftor can win peacefully around turn 170 to 190 constantly. So this is a very, very late finish time anyways, but this is just because so much people were at war. Alright. So I guess that's it for this summary. I invite you to watch the game. The first position of the players is around in here somewhere. If you haven't watched it yet, definitely check it out. It was a quite cool game. A lot of chatting on TeamSpeak as well. So I think it's quite fun to listen as well. What else? I think that's it. So thank you very much for watching and best wishes. Yoruus out.